On this episode, Eat, Sleep, Drive, we are covering 1 year of ownership experience of my Porsche GT3. Not only how much it cost me and whether or not it was reliable, but what's it like beyond the honeymoon period? And most importantly, has it been worth it? I bought this 2014 GT3 just over a year ago after 6 months of searching for the right one. I flew from Colorado to Dallas, handed them a check, and then turned around and drove it 800 miles home. If you want to see all the details, I'll include a link so you can go watch my buying experience video. In this video, however, we're talking about what the experience has been like since I bought it and how much it's cost me. Automotive ownership experiences can sometimes be, well, interesting. Let's put it that way. I've had the privilege of owning a lot of iconic cars, and fortunately I got into cars when they were cheap. I mean, I've owned some, all the M3s of the world, S2000, Lotus Elise, even in the Porsche space, a 997 C2S. All of those cars I purchased for less than $30,000. So I've been able to enjoy a lot of what, the more modern automotive landscape looks like for performance cars. And what's always interesting to me is the sign of a good car is whether or not it can be special every time you drive it, at least for a fun car. If we're talking about daily driver cars or cars that are meant to be, both your fun car and your daily driver, okay, that has a different set of stipulations. But if it is a nice weather weekend car, every time you get in it, it needs to be exciting. And that is absolutely what this car does. From the moment you start it up, your heart gets pumping. Now, granted, this does have an exhaust on it, but it's just a muffler delete. That is the only modification that this car has. But 9,000 RPM. I was curious if, this would wear thin, maybe the noise would just be too much or whatever, but just it makes going to get groceries exciting. And it makes me think about, there's a video, an advertisement when this car came out, and I forget what the actual tagline was, but the whole premise was everywhere this car went, and it was actually sapphire blue, just like this car. Everywhere the car went, the guy did a launch, every single place.
Coconut milk latte with a caramel shot, please.
Okay, coconut milk latte with a caramel.
And this car does bring that out in you. It is the ultimate form of excitement. Instant throttle response. I love naturally aspirated engines. A flat six that revs to 9,000 RPM. It has not gotten old. And some cars do wear on you. Some cars, whether it's too stiff or it's just too loud or, it just loses its excitement. Every single time I've gotten in this car, it's been an absolute blast. Now, the other aspect that we need to talk about is this whole manual versus automatic PDK discussion, because that was something I was frankly worried about. Almost every performance car, I think every performance car I've owned since 16 has been a manual, and I love manuals. I've traditionally been one of those people, manual or nothing. So I was wondering, with this car, you can't get it in a manual in this specific generation model year. Was I going to tire of it with the PDK? And the answer is really no. I mean, what's crazy is this offers a unique experience that you cannot get in a manual. And I'm not saying it's better, it's just that both cars offer a unique experience. And why do I say this? Because it actually all gets summed together. I was watching an interview with Andres Preuninger, who is the lead of GT cars for Porsche. And I remember back when the 2018 came out and there was a manual and they still had PDK, somebody asked him, which do you prefer? And he said, depends on the day, more or less. And at first, I thought that was a cop-out. Like, okay, he's just saying that because he's a Porsche shill. You know, his livelihood is tied to these Porsche cars selling well. But when you drive them, and I've driven manual GT cars, specifically GT3s, they're fantastic. But this offers a unique experience. He basically said you kind of need both because they do give you a different driving experience. I would love to have a manual version of one of these, absolutely. If I get a 992, it'll probably be a manual just because I haven't experienced it. I've experienced a PDK car, but I haven't experienced the manual long term. But to those that say like manual only, you haven't driven one of these. That's basically what it boils down to. You can say that you prefer manual, that's fine, but to not acknowledge that this is its own experience is ludicrous, because this PDK, especially these first gen models, is so violent on the shifts. This car is so good. All right, we've got the fun part out of the way. Let's talk dollars and cents before we wrap this up. Let's talk money. And you should know, I'm gonna preface this, that I bought this car CPO. So before I even purchased it, Porsche of Grapevine in Texas, they got it up to speed, basically. They had to replace a drive belt, they had to do a PDK flush, and a couple other small things. Also put some brand new tires on here. So this was a good example to start with. That is something that you should know going into these, that if you're buying one that's over 10 years old, it's probably gonna take some maintenance. But what did it cost me? Well, I had two unexpected things happen with this vehicle, which we'll cover first. Number one, I had a steering and front lift fault when I started the car one time. Basically, turned on the car, immediately bonk, starts letting me know steering fault, front lift. Both the steering felt fine and the front lift operated perfectly. So I was like, that's kind of weird. It only happened that one time, but I did take it to the dealership and they found out, or they surmised, that it was low on voltage, the battery at least. And that actually does track because I always keep this car on a battery tender. However, this time I was away for 2 weeks and forgot to. So the car sat for a while, the battery voltage probably did drop a little bit low, and these cars can be a bit finicky with voltage. So we chalked it up to, I haven't had an issue since I've been keeping it on a battery tender. So no cost there. The other unexpected thing, and this is no fault of the car, is a rock chip on the front windshield. And the only reason I bring this up, because of course it can happen on any vehicle, it's not specific to the GT3, is if you are looking at one of these, I would highly recommend getting glass coverage, because the glass alone, I was adamant that they put OEM glass in it. The insurance company, of course, wanted to use aftermarket glass. OEM glass is over $2,000 just for the parts. That's not even installed. So it's extremely expensive. Add it to your policy. It's actually not that much. And in terms of insurance, I don't pay a terrible amount more than I do for my daily driver with this car, which is surprising because the value is significantly more. Okay, so those are some minor inconveniences and they didn't end up costing me any money. What did cost me money though was the 1-year service / oil change that I had done with this vehicle. Now, I could have done this myself, and typically I do my oil changes myself, but I purchased this car out of state and I had no relationship with the local Porsche dealer. And I said to myself, you know, if something does come up with this car, I would have liked to have at least talked to them and had some sort of relationship before, you know, expecting them to pick up some big repair project. So I took it to them. And the cost for the oil change, inspection, all that stuff was $456.41. Quite a lot, admittedly, for an oil change, but frankly, it was going to cost about $200 alone for just parts. Oil and filter and whatnot are expensive these days. So $250 for, in my opinion, peace of mind that I've at least built some relationship with the Porsche dealership was well worth it. So that's it. That's how much it cost me to own this car for a year. So has it been worth it? Yeah, I'd say so. This car, I brought the whole other vehicles that I've owned up earlier, just to say that if you have and you do own one of those sort of like iconic cars, that some of which I've mentioned, you know, some of the icons, the M3s, the S2000s, Lotus Elises, and you're just curious what the next step is when you turn the dial to 11, you will not be disappointed buying one of these. I have purchased cars where I have been disappointed, where it didn't live up to the hype, but this thing absolutely just does. It's such a unique experience, and from like an enjoyment perspective, if you are somebody who enjoys cars, not just for the speed, but the experience, I mean, this has the speed, especially on track. I've had it on track. It's so fun. It's an absolute weapon. It's fast. Like, you can keep up with anything. But the experience, joy is had above 8,000 RPM, and that's ultimately what this boils down to. You can buy one of these, and the beauty part is you can have an absolute blast, and you're probably not going to lose any money because they hold their value so well. Porsche doesn't make a lot of these cars, so what you get into it, you could probably get out of it for the same money or maybe even more. Now, a caveat: this car has fortunately been reliable for me, but this generation has known for potentially having some engine issues. I'm still on the original engine in this car. Now, I purchased this car CPO so I can drive it absolutely carefree, and Porsche has tried to make it right with a 10-year engine warranty that is now expired for pretty much all these cars. But if you could find one CPO, or I mean, like, not all the engines blow up. Some of them do, though. Actually, many of them do, in fact. So that is something that you need to be worried about, or something that you should concern yourself with, because you don't want to be stuck with a massive repair bill. That said, these GT cars are mostly known for just working. And that's another big part of the reason I love this thing, is because it hasn't stranded me. It has no, Italian tendencies. They just work. And that's a big part of ownership experience with an enthusiast car anyways, right? You want to be able to drive it. So you can drive it, it starts up every day, and you won't lose your ass, although you do have to put in a lot of money to start. Just know that that money is safe. Think of it as a not so much investment, because the money's not going to appreciate that much compared to the stock market, but it's like driving your bank account, and at least you can have some fun with it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about this generation GT3. Do you think I'm off base with the PDK argument? Is it manual only for you? Leave a comment down below, and we'll see if we can get another year of ownership out of this thing. See you next time. Peace.